Who's running the country if it's not Joe Biden? It would be interesting to know, because whoever is running the country, that's our real president. Joe Biden is in the sort of costume of president. Of course, he appeared yesterday to do his belated press conference. And at times, he didn't even seem to know what he was doing. Here's a little clip. Check it out.
So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot done.
I mean, what a mess. Now, there were times when Biden seemed a little more coherent, but it's now come out that the reason he even was is because he was supplied with a battery of 14-point font index cards. And every topic, he had his talking points. So he was sort of like a human parrot. And they told him, if the press says infrastructure, pull out your infrastructure card and start reading. And that's basically what Biden is doing. But the important point about a parrot is a parrot doesn't say, the parrot is actually just repeating what somebody else has concocted or taught the parrot to mindlessly say. The journalists, of course, were in their usual stupefied, genuflecting, devotional, embarrassing, non-critical stance. Only one time in the whole press conference was an intelligent question even asked, and Biden seemed a little stunned and unable to at least immediately reply. Listen.
Vega.
I'd like to circle back to immigration, please. You just listed the reasons that people are coming, talking about in-country problems, saying that it happens every year. You blamed the last administration. Sir, I just got back last night from a reporting trip to the border where I met 9-year-old Josel, who walked here from Honduras by himself, along with another little boy. He had that phone number on him, and we were able to call his family. His mother says that she sent her son to this country because she believes that you are not deporting unaccompanied minors like her son. That's why she sent him alone from Honduras. So, sir, you blame the last administration, but is your messaging in saying that these children are and will be allowed to stay in this country and work their way through this process, encouraging families like Josel's to come?
Well, look.
Yeah, see, it's tough for a parrot to deal with that one because that was unrehearsed. There wasn't a note card on this kid traveling from Honduras. So now, there's a deeper point here that goes beyond the embarrassment of having this senile dude in the Oval Office, stage managed by aides and by the media. The point is, who is calling the shots here? Who's the real leader of this democratic society? Now, very interesting article by Dan Galernter in American Greatness. It's actually called "Who's Running This Thing?" And Dan begins by invoking William F. Buckley's famous line from a while ago now, saying he would rather be governed by the first 500 names in the Boston phone directory than by the Harvard faculty. Now, this is a line that's actually, I've scratched my head over this for a quarter century because I've been thinking to myself, what happens to a country when the Harvard faculty is actually running the country? Is that the case now? I don't mean literally the Harvard faculty, but I mean those types of people. An unelected elite is calling the shots. And I think that is the key point. It's not that we have another president. I mean, some people will say, of course, that, well, Obama's the real president. This is his third term. Ron Klain is an Obama man. He's doing what Obama says. Or Kamala Harris is the real president. That's why Biden occasionally goes, oh, President Harris. But I don't think it's that simple. In fact, I ask myself this question. Who is the individual or the group of people that picked Biden and Harris? Think about it. Biden and Harris were sort of designated, you may almost say president and vice president appointees by someone in the Democratic Party. Some group, some committee, some team said, let's go with Biden. Let's knock everybody else out of the race. And let's pluck Harris out of obscurity. She couldn't win anything on her own, but let's pull her in and we'll make these two. So that person, that group, they're running the country. And behind them, and this is Dan Galerta's point, is a kind of broader elite. And this elite is partly in the universities, it's partly in the media, it's partly in the entertainment world. And these are the people who think of themselves as the unofficial cabinet. They're the cabinet for these people in power. Now, if we pull back and look at the implications of this, they're very startling because we are in a democracy. But in a democracy, in a representative democracy, the people don't rule directly. This is not like ancient Athens. In ancient Athens, if there was a question, should we raise taxes? Should we play subsidies? Should we go to war? You just call the people. They all come to the Agora, 7,000 or 8,000 of them. They vote. The people decide directly. But in our type of representative democracy, the people have a say only rarely, only every 2 years or only every 4 years. And the only say they have is on who gets to rule. The real decisions are made by that ruling group or that ruling person, the president, along with the Congress. But what if the president isn't the president? What if some other group, unelected, is calling the shots that the American people have not said yes to, they haven't signed off on, and yet this group, this elite, believes that it has the authority to rule? Biden in the press conference said something very striking to me. He said, the world is now divided into two camps, the autocratic camp and the democratic camp. And when the autocratic camp, he was talking about Russia and China and potentially Iran. And of course, we are supposed to be the leader of the democratic camp. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute, in these two camps, autocracy and democracy, where do we really belong? Are we really in the democratic camp? If it is the case that we have an unelected cabal directing Biden, Biden is just taking instructions from these people, then we're not effectively a democracy. The people have not chosen that group. Obama, some years ago, in his first term, made a comment to the New York Times that was kind of buried by the New York Times almost strategically in an article, where Obama said this. He said, it would be so much easier to be the president of China. This is Obama. I quote this in my book, America, and I provide all the citations. But what Obama was expressing here, I think, is dictator envy. Obama was saying in a democracy, in a real democracy, you have to argue, you have to fight, you've got block and tackle, checks and balances, you've got to create consensus. Why do all that? What if we had a group of people, or one person, me, and we just did whatever we wanted? Kind of like the Chinese, kind of like Xi Jinping. So I think that we are in, you may almost call it an unrecognized crisis of democracy. It's a crisis of democracy because the democracy we have seems to be fatally flawed, at least by the simple fact that we have unelected leaders who are making decisions for us. Let's remember that autocracies frequently wear the camouflage of democracy. Even in Iran, they call themselves the People's Republic of Iran. Democracy is a sham, but they go through the motions. East Germany was a German Democratic Republic, the GDR. They went through the motions. So is America moving toward a situation, not only with Biden, the president, but also with efforts to change laws and put new procedures, H.R. 1 and others in place, that would create a false democracy, the outward impression of democracy, but with token opposition, a single party ruling, picking its own, this guy's going to be the president, this one's going to be the vice president, this year it's going to be Biden and it's going to be Harris, next year it'll be Harris and the next person we pick. But who's the we that's doing the picking? This is a crisis that we need to think about and think about how to get out of, because it may well be that in the fight between democracy and autocracy, we end up being on the wrong side.